Hello, and welcome to your Values 3 class. I call this, it has a nickname, and it's called Worldviews. Worldviews. Why do I name it as Worldviews? Well, because in this class, you get to learn the different views that people have about the world. No, I'm not talking about the flat earth theory. No, not that world. But we are talking about how people view the problems in our society, in our world today. How do they define it? What could be the cause of such problems in our society, right? So, because of that, many different groups of people would give you different answers to why there are problems in our society. For example, why is there so much pain and suffering? If there was an awesome, loving God up there, why does He allow so much pain and suffering? A very, very good question. People have been struggling with this for thousands of years, all the way from the time of Abraham, all the way to Buddha, Mahavira, Guru Nanak, all right? All these people try to give you answers as to why there is so much pain and suffering. And so their answers becomes a philosophy. And that philosophy turns into a religious belief. All right? And so that's how we have many different worldviews or many different religions. Simple as that. So in this class, throughout the year, we will explore some of these different ideas that people came up with to answer some of the questions in our world today. Where did life come from? We will take a look at the 4 fundamental ontological questions. 4 of them. Number 1, where did life come from? Yes. Where did life come from? Did it just come out of the sea? Some amoeba, some kind of bacteria finally became into a human being like you and I? So life is the first thing that we need to explore. Where did life come from? Number 2, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is my purpose of being a person living in this world? Am I here to just enjoy everything and that's it? What am I here for? Number 3, how do I know what is right from wrong? How? How do you know that murder is bad? How do you know? Just because you know it, it's your opinion, you feel like it, I feel it is wrong, just a feeling, because your feeling could be different from someone else's feeling. So how do we know it is wrong, no matter where you go, whatever which culture you go into, it's still wrong. And number 4, what happens when I die? Where do I go? Do I go somewhere? What happens to me? So these are the 4 ontological questions that we will take a look at from these worldviews, meaning again, from different religion. How do they define where did life come from? What is my purpose here? How do I know what is right from wrong? And where am I going after I die? After this life is over, what happens to me? So these are some of the things that we will be taking a look at during this Values 3 class the entire year. Take note of that. So we will begin with, first of all, the introduction to worldviews. That will take us about a week or 2. We'll talk about the different belief system. We'll talk about the philosophy of worldviews. Then we will jump into our first worldview, and that is Hinduism. We'll take a look at Hinduism because Hinduism forms the basis of many other worldviews. For example, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism. All right? Some of these religions, they go back to Hinduism. No wonder you'll notice in Thailand, you'll notice this. You go out there anywhere, and you'll see a lot of Hindu gods. You have the elephant god with a human head, but with the nose of an elephant. All right? Or actually, it's a elephant head, all right, on a human body. Why is that in Thailand? I thought Thailand is a Buddhist country. You also see all the other Hindu gods like Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, the god with 4 heads. You see them everywhere. Why? So we will take a look at Hinduism first, so we understand the basic framework of all these pantheistic religions. Then we'll move on to Jainism, something different, something new. I'm sure you have not heard of Jainism. Jain. It comes from the word Jina, simply means spirit, soul, life. All right? They believe that life is sacred. Life is sacred, and therefore no one should destroy or harm, ahimsa, harm. They must not harm any life form. Not just big animals, not just humans, but even all the way to plants and even carrots and cabbages and potatoes. You must not harm them. So what do they eat? Good question. We'll find that out. Then we'll move on to Buddhism. We'll look at the 2 different sects of Buddhism. You have the Theravada Buddhism, the Buddhism according to the elders, which is followed by Thailand. And then we'll move on to the Chinese, the Mahayana Buddhism, which is more popular in China and Far Eastern countries. And then after that, we'll move on to Taoism, founded by Lao Tzu in China. What was his worldview? How did he define why there is pain and suffering? Then on the third quarter, we will move on to Zoroastrianism, which is an interesting religion. Zoroaster, founded by Zarathustra in Iran. All right, it was one of the main religions of Iran, but today it's no more, almost extinct. But there are Zoroastrians all around the world, still out there. Then we'll look at Islam, and then Judaism, and finally Christianity. So we'll take a look at all this religion and see how they try to explain why all these things that you see in our society today. Why is there pain and suffering and all sorts of evil things that's happening around us? How do these religions help us to understand that? And especially answering the 4 ontological questions. By now, did you get the 4 ontological questions? Okay, number 1, let's do it again. Number 1, where did life begin? Number 2, why am I here? What is my purpose? Number 3, how do I know what is right from wrong? Morality, right from wrong. And finally, number 4, where am I going? After this life is over, what happens to me? Game over, that's it, no more hope, nothing to live for. What is our next life? What is our goal? So we will take a look at these 4 questions, and from the different worldviews that we will be taking a look at, how do they answer them? All right. So that is your worldviews class for this entire school year. I hope you will enjoy and you'll find some of these things really eye-opening, because I'm going to show you a lot of videos that will like, what? Are you sure they really do that? Oh my gosh. Yes, we'll be taking a look at some of those stories and some of the videos and some of the teachings that might throw you out, okay? That might be shocking to some of you. But we will again try to see why such things people do. Belief plays a really, really important part in human life. We'll take a look at that. All right, let's continue with our second part of our class here. I just gave you an introduction to what is Worldview all about, what you will be learning, some insights, something for you to dream about, what you're going to learn so that your mind is ready for it. But now I'm going to talk to you about the structure of our class, okay, how this class is going to be. Now, what I like to do is I like to use the theory in learning called the flipped classroom theory. The flipped, you flip it upside down. What does that mean? Well, in educational term, the flipped classroom simply means I like you to work on some of the basic things on your own. For example, reading through the ebooks or the textbook. You do that on your own because that's easy. So you do that, reading through the ebook on your own. But then when you come to class, I like us to handle the harder stuff. All right? This is the time when we discuss about some of the things that was probably a little difficult for you to understand, grasp, comprehend. This is the time when we discuss. We have discussion. We have all sorts of activities, questions, and of course, projects and writing of papers. But we do the hard stuff together. That's called the flipped classroom. You do the easy stuff at home. That is reading, going through the materials. Now don't be lazy, all right? Because I have ways to find out whether you have done your part in reading the material or not. A lot of times students think that, oh, I'm just going to go and just play around and the teacher won't know that I actually didn't read. I know how to find that out, all right? So please do your work. Do the reading. Simple as that. Anything that you didn't understand, obviously mark that up. Circle it, underline it, make a note. And then when you come back to class, that's when you bring those things up and I ask you a question, you ask me a question, and we will have interaction during class time to understand these concepts better. All right? So this is actually ideal for both in campus and even if we are having it online. All right? So when we have it online, we will come onto our Google Classroom. We will go into Google Meet, and that's where we will have these discussions. All right, now let's talk about Google Meet for a while. Now, when we are closed, we are not having classes in campus. I want you to go into your Google Classroom, go into Google Meet, and we will have our class in Google Meet. It will be a virtual, but there should be face-to-face, meaning you must not turn off your camera or your microphone. Okay, you may turn off your microphone only when you are about to speak. Turn it on, all right, but keep it off. But your video, we should be able to see your face. Okay, I do not like people simply turning off and then I do not know what they're doing. Maybe they went to the kitchen and having breakfast, all right, or lunch, or playing some games, okay, just listening to me but doing something else. No, I want your full attention, all right. I like our class to follow the schedule of our school, all right, whichever schedule that is. I like to meet exactly at that time and end the class when the time is over. I do not like to give assignment that is due at 10 p.m., all right, or due at the end of the week. No, I don't like that. If you had that in the past, please take note, that's not happening this time. We meet during our class time. When the bell rings, we meet, even if it's virtual. You got to wake up, you got to turn on your camera, your laptop, get ready, basic hygiene, clean up your face and everything, your hair. Okay, get ready for class. Wear proper dress. No pajamas, please. And then we have class. You got to show your face. You got to be in front of the camera. And we will have discussion. We will have all sorts of activities. And once the time is over, that's it. I don't bother you anymore. That's it. If you have to do a work, you got to do it during that time, and it's due when the bell rings. All right? Or due before the bell rings. So my classes are going to be short, maybe 10 minutes is my lecture time, discussion time. We will have discussion back and forth, the 10 minutes. And then after that, another 10 minutes or 20 minutes could be the activity. And once you're done with the activity and you submit, turn in Google Classroom, that's it. Our class is over. Nothing is due at 10 p.m. No. Once the class period is over, your responsibility for this class is also over. You can take a break. You can take a break. You only think about it again the next day. At night, you do not have to worry about it. Okay? So, we meet during our class time every day in front of your camera. Switch on your camera, and we will have activities. Now, of course, after the discussion is over, when I give you the work to do, you can always turn off the camera, and then you can do your work quietly, silently, and turn it in. But during our time of discussion, everyone's camera must be on. All right? Not only the person who's talking, everyone must be on. So I can take attendance, I can see that everyone is there. Only when we do the activities, after our discussion is over, you may turn off the camera. So that's how our instruction is going to be, our protocol, you could say our logistic of our classes. Okay? And that is same for in campus. When you come to my class, for the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we may have discussion and all sorts of things. Then I give you the workbook where you do your work, and once it's done, you can take a break. And when the bell rings, you can leave the classroom. All right? So that's how we will work during this Values 3 during this school year. All right, let's talk about the Google Classroom just for a while. So if you were to take a look at the Google Classroom, you can see it on the screen over here. So this is could be your Google Classroom. Now you have all your classes there. You will find your values class there. All right, it will say values A period or B or D or F or G. Whichever is your period, you click that and you will enter into that class. The first thing that you see is the stream. The stream. Now, stream is, of course, where you see whatever I post. It appears over there. But sometimes you may miss that. All right? So, please go to classwork. All right? Always go to the classwork tab. And in the classwork tab, you will see all the materials, lesson materials that I usually like to post, the reading materials, in other words, the ebook that I told you should read ahead of time before coming to class. Please read through those. Okay. There is attendance. You will notice that I usually take attendance by posing a simple question. Sometimes it may have 1 or 2 word answer. It's just I want to see whether you woke up and got your laptop ready and answer that question within certain time frame. All right. Usually I give it 5 minutes from the time the class begins. Let's say our class begins at 7:25. This attendance question will be open till 7:30. So you must wake up by 7:20, and as soon as you see the attendance question, click on it, answer it. It's a question, a simple. Sometimes it's a multiple choice. All you have to do is click yes, no, or whatever the choices are. That's it. It just tells me that you are awake and ready for class. All right? So that is going to be there. Then you see assignments. Those are the assignments that after our discussion is over, and you will have some things to do, some things to write, type, or whatever. You do that, and then you click turn in. All right. So please always go to the classwork tab. That's where you can actually find all the helpful materials ready. I have a website. I do have a website, but I do not like to use that website usually because now we have a Google Classroom. I can put all the ebooks and everything, all the links to all the presentations. I can put them right there in Google Classroom. So I do not want you to get confused going to many various different sites. Even though you may be going to many different sites, but I will have the links given in Google Classroom so that you can easily find your way around. All right. So your launch pad is Google Classroom. From Google Classroom, you will be moving on to many different sites by just clicking the link. All right. So that's about Google Classroom. Now, something about Line. Actually, during the holidays, I sent an email giving you the link to join in the Line group. Many of you did it. Many of you did it. Some classes already, almost 90-95% already joined the Line group. Please make sure to join our Line group.